Hey everybody, and welcome back to the next part in my dialing in series for our Line 6 Helix. This episode, I decided to take a look at a really interesting amp model in the Helix that was given to us maybe a couple software updates ago, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on that. But it's the Voltage Queen, which is a model of the Victoria Electro King amp, which in turn what is a recreation of the Gibson GA40, if I'm not mistaken. I'm kind of looking at some of the info up here on this other screen here. It's 1957 Gibson amp with 6V6, 15 watts, 6V6 power tubes. So I hadn't really messed with this amp model too much. I may have used it on, I don't know, maybe a cover solo video or something of the like. But so I wanted to kind of dive into that and give it a try. And upon just first pulling it up, I realized, man, it's a really nice amp model. And I was quite impressed with the way this came out sounding in the end. I dialed this in on my studio monitors, which I recently upgraded actually to a pair of Focal, I believe they're called Shape 50s, which are really nice. And I also kind of cross-checked it on the power cab, and it sounded really good even when cranked up really loud. So what I've done here is a 4-snapshot, as I have been doing recently, 4-snapshot preset, ranging from clean, push, overdrive, and then kind of what I'm calling lead, or a little bit more distortion with a little bit of delay and whatnot. So let's dive over to HXEdit and take a look what I did. Again, I've already dialed in the tone. I just find it's easier to do that now instead of making you guys all watch me recreate exactly what I'm doing. So I'm using my normal little template that I always use. This is a stereo patch, Dynamics LA Studio Comp at the end. A little bit of EQ that's the same on every snapshot. I just pulled out a little bit of 440 hertz at 1.4Q, just down 1.5 dB, just to kind of get rid of a little bit of mud, open the sound up just subtly. That's a really small move there, but low cut at 100, high cut at 12 kilohertz. Anybody who's watched my videos kind of knows I do that a lot. I went with a 63 spring verb, decay of 3.2, pre-delay of 10 milliseconds, mix of 28%. The delay is only going to be on my lead snapshot, okay, and I did choose a Cosmos Echo though. 13% feedback, mix of 21%, head 3. Everything else I kind of leave default. I really don't mess with delays that much other than to get the kind of the mix and the feedback controls where I want them. I usually find they're perfectly fine the way they are. I always set them to, like I've talked about before, to a tempo. So I can either tap tempo them or input a tempo to the song I'm working on, right? But that'll come in our lead snapshot. I'm using my split crossover very subtly here. I didn't really feel a huge need after I messed around with the amp. 650 hertz crossover point. All I did is to all the frequencies above that add 1 dB and absolutely nothing below it, just to kind of open up those frequencies above there just a tiny bit. Again, very subtle stuff. You could probably turn that off and not really feel like it was a huge difference, right? So it's just something I reacted to at the moment. As far as the cab goes, I stuck with the default cab, which is a 112 US Deluxe. 160 ribbon, 2 inches back. And the funny thing about that is I believe that was just the way the stock cab came up, and I found it worked really nicely. So I stuck with that. Now, here are the settings I used. Our clean channel. This amp was a little tough to get sounding perfectly clean. I had to actually go to the output block at the end, boost up 7 dB. My channel volume, I originally had a 10, I guess, and for some reason I've pulled it back to 9.7 here, but whatever. Anyways, little tiny things that as I'm making these, I'll make a decision and then do something else that, you know, kind of affects that, so I'll tweak as I go. But I had to bring the drive 1 and drive 2 both down to 1.6, master up to 10, channel volume at 9.7. The tone control at 9.5, bass at 7, treble at 7.5, okay? Now, I found with these drive controls down low like this, in the lower settings, they're very sensitive. If you go from like 1.6 to 2, it's quite a jump in volume and whatnot as well. So that, and then as you go up more, it doesn't jump volume as much as just more saturate, right? Like a lot of amps actually react, right? So anyways, I had these set here, and this sounds like this. I'm using my Godin Summit Classic Limited with Lawler El Rayo pickups. Really nice guitar, really love these pickups. So that sounds like this on the bridge pickup. Neck and middle. And neck pickup. Okay, so really nice clean tone. I tried to get it so it wasn't breaking up too much, okay? Now what happens here when I switch over to my push snapshot? Well, you'll notice the changes I made were my drive 1 went from 1.6 to 2.5, drive 2 went from 1.6 to 2.3, tone got pushed up to 10 for whatever reason while I was doing this, a subtle change, but I moved that up. Bass went from 7 down to 5. Treble went from 7.5 up to 8. Channel volume, like I said, I had to really bring down because the subtle change in the two drive controls really boosted the volume. So I had to bring that channel volume down. The master just stayed at 10. So how did this sound? Well, it sounded like this. That was on the bridge pickup, bridge in middle. Okay. And neck pickup. Okay, so kind of a nice breakup on that. Sounded really nice. I took that to the overdrive preset, or snapshot, sorry, and that moved I see it made quite a big move here, and if you noticed, for that, I didn't really have to change my channel volume as much. I went from 6.6 to 6.4, even though I jumped from 2.5 and 2.3 on the drives up to 5.1 and 7.5. So all we got here was more of like a saturation rather than from the drive controls rather than a volume boost. Whereas on the lower end of the scale, the volume jumped considerably. Okay, so what other changes did I make here? Tone stayed on 10, bass on 5, treble on 8. Yeah, everything else stayed the same. I just brought the drive controls up to get this kind of a sound. As a bridge pickup, bridge and neck. And neck pickup. Okay, back to our bridge. I was really liking the way that that sounded. Almost, again, it seemed to work for some like maybe early Zeppelin or something like that. It just had a nice vintage tone to it, you know? You know, that type of a bite to it. It was really nice. Very vintage sound to it. Nice. Okay, and then I took it to a lead snapshot where, let's see what happened here. The drives went up to 7.8 and 8.5 from 5.1 to 7.5. The tone went down from 10 to 8.5. I was trying to get a little bit more meat to it. Bass, I believe, just stayed at 5. Everything else stayed pretty much the same. The channel volume went to 6.4. Maybe I just bumped that even. That's probably not going to make a huge difference. And I added in the delay, the Cosmos Echo. Like I said, feedback at 13%, mix at 21%. Everything else stayed the same, and that sounded like this. Okay, on the middle position with neck and bridge pickup. And the neck pickup. Kind of like the way the bottom kind of is almost kind of flubby on this in a nice way. So really nice stuff. I was pretty happy with the way that all came out. It's a very impressive amp model. I love doing these videos because I get to explore these new amp models and find some new tones for myself and share them with you guys, and it's a lot of fun. So really nice stuff here. We have so many things at our disposal here. I keep getting a lot of requests to do new videos of particular amp models, and I'm planning on getting to all of them over time. There's just so many to choose from, and it's just kind of figuring out which one to do next. I've had a lot of requests to do something more metal instead of more of the vintage vibe, and I will do that. Maybe next episode I'll get into that and jump into that. So for now, I hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you guys can get some use out of it. Again, you may have to make some tweaks to it to suit your guitar, your playing style, your monitoring system, just your personal preference for what you like your presets to sound like, which is going to be different for everybody, right? So, but hopefully at least it's a starting point, make some tweaks to it, and hopefully it's a really nice preset for you guys to use, either recording or live. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. Like the video and share it if you don't mind. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate all the support everybody gives. And please leave me your comments, questions about the video, and I'm happy to answer whenever I have the time to do so. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and I'll be back soon with some more content, and we'll chat then. Ciao for now.